Hello to all Year 9 parents and carers. This is just a very short video to give you information about the GCSE options that your child will be choosing in the next 2 weeks. The option form was issued yesterday, Monday, the 4th of March, during afternoon registration, and students in Year 9 now have 2 weeks to make a selection. It says on the option form it's due on the 11th of March. That's incorrect. It's actually due as part, sorry, from us on the Friday, the 22nd at 8:40. All forms need to be given to their form tutor, and then from there we will start the process from the 22nd about allocating options, and there'll be a follow-up letter about which subjects have been successfully allocated to your child, and that will be sometime later in June, where we will be doing the timetable. The All students have one form, and they will need to complete this on paper very clearly with their name, their tutor group, and their option selection. And this is to give you some further information. Students have already had an assembly before the half term, explaining this information, but also the handbook is available on the website and on the student classroom, and all of this information allows you to read in far more detail about each subject. The next thing is about the subject studied at GCSE. So the subject study at GCSE in what we call our core curriculum is these subjects. So all students at GCSE will study English language, English literature, mathematics, a double award or triple award in science for chemistry, physics, and biology. RE, where 50% is the Christianity unit, 50% is the RE unit. They also study physical education. There's no examination for this. They will also study the CCPSHE as part of their core curriculum. And this has been established at Connaught for some time. We do have two subjects that are non-examination, but we do think they're essential to the holistic development of the student at GCSE, and it's important they continue their citizenship education. The other subjects that students take at GCSE are mathematics and science, and the science option includes physics, biology, and chemistry, and they either do the triple science or the double science award, so they see two GCSEs on their certificates. They also have 1 hour of RE a week where they cover 50% Christianity and 50% Islam, and then they sit the GCSE. And actually, this ends up being one of their a really strong GCSE at Connaught. We also have non-exam elements PE. So part of the core is to create some physical exercise and be involved in PE as part of their whole students' holistic development at Connaught. We also have CCPSHE, where they continue to look at citizenship and careers and sexual relationships and education. So all of this is covered in the core curriculum. There are a number of option choices, and the other things that they will be studying, or what it's known as, is the English Baccalaureate. Now, it's a qualification that was introduced back in 2010, and this school has been offering this baccalaureate since 2016. And the idea is that this makes that they sit English, maths, two sciences, a language, and a humanity subject, geography or history. And the research shows that this combination then it makes sure they have improved results, but also allows them to compete for degree courses at the top Russell Group universities. So the all of these we offer here in the English Baccalaureate combination, and over 96% of our students make sure they do actually partake and sit the English Baccalaureate combination. Um, and so the students will also be thinking about their pathway for history or geography, for example, or French or Spanish. And these conversations can take place with their subject teachers if they're undecided. And it is something that, again, it does involve some choosing, but this combination, as I said, is studied by the majority of our students. The other point in relation to this is that there is also what we call the 75% of our students are undertaking the English, and the in the audit in 2022, with an aim for 90% of 2025. So we have increased the amount of students taking the English baccalaureate, at our school, and we want to continue to be able to do that. So going through the choices and the options that you've got, the other thing I want to talk to you about is the options that you don't have in the form in front of you for now. And you'll probably be a good time to get in front of you if you're at this on while I just talk through this slide. So hopefully you have some choices about which language you'd like to do. So students will either opt for French or Spanish. There is the option of fast track French, and these we usually run after school if there's enough uptake, and it's usually the examinations completed in year 10, and that means on the timetable that the student would usually study Spanish, so that way they have two languages at the end of their GCSE course. So there's choice number one and there's choice number two, and that's the same for the humanities, geography, or history. And for languages, otherwise, it is French or Spanish. Now, as I said earlier, most students will study humanity at GCSE at Connaught School for Girls, and this choice is to have the conversation with your children to decide which subject they prefer. And it's really important to have that dialogue, have it using the handbook that's on the website and on the classroom, so they're really thinking about which one's most suitable, because sometimes they enjoy both, and there is a possibility that if they want to take both, that they've just got to just recognize the demands of both subjects. And a lot of our students do both geography and history because they're hugely popular, and lots of our students feel really confident in being able to do both. So they need to just look at quite carefully at the options form 3 and 4. A number of students will go into supported studies, which is with the learning support department, and they would have already have been approached by of that, to have that conversation would have been had with them, or will be being had with them, with their head of year, their head of SEND, and they'll be suggesting perhaps not taking humanity but taking supported studies, just to help them if they need further support with other subjects. So this conversation might be taking place, or you may want to have this conversation with us as well. Now, the other things on the option choices 3 and 4, where you reserve and you have 5 and 6 choices, but really what you've got to choose is your two other subjects that are not part of the core curriculum, and the English Baccalaureate. So there are some limitations, and you can see them here. So, for example, if you do art or design, you can't do art and photography. It has to be one or the other. With DT, it is just textiles, and there is no longer music BTEC. We actually do music GCSE instead. So these things that you can look at quite carefully, and you have to make some decisions about which subjects you'd like to do additionally, which the students would like to do, and you also need to have two reserves in place as well. In most state cases, the school tries to allocate the subject the student would like, but you just need to remember with art and design and photography, there's only one or the other. It does sometimes depend on the timetabling of the combination, and some students may end up with their reserves. So it's really important to read the handbook and have a very careful look, and speak to the subject teachers. The students can, if they're unsure about which ones to select. So just a reminder again that some students will opt for supported study, so it's important to make sure that option of choices you've made that selected that clearly. And again, this is the student really thinking about what their main needs are. This will be Miss Peterson will have a conversation with some students, Miss Hicks might, and I might, and Miss Recon, just to make sure that there is students are being supported as well, if they where possible, with achieving them all of their achieving well in all of their GCSE subjects. Now, these are some of the do's with regard to the subject choices. So, number one, do choose a subject that you enjoy and make sure you're doing subjects that you want to do. The more you choose subjects that you're interested in, that you like, the more likely that it is to lead you into a career path. Doing these things will, and you enjoy them, the success rate is likely to be higher. So do choose ones that you do well at, that you're succeeding in. Maybe look back at your 7, 8 and 9 reports. You choose subjects that will get you to the point you want to get to, especially if you're already thinking about your future and employment choices. Do not um, select subjects because your friends are doing it. This really, and I said this in the assembly to all the students, and if you could have this conversation as well, this is really what's most suitable for your child. They need to think about which subjects they'd succeed in, they'd enjoy studying, they'd really like a GCSE in. And so we just try to, it's really important that the students also don't choose things based on which teacher they like. It is really about the subject, because when you leave with their results, it's the subject's qualification they leave with. So it's really important that they're really thinking about the subject. And again, I'm referring you back to the handbook. It's really important that students read the handbook. So please make sure you access that and read that. It's on the website, it's on the classroom, and please encourage the students to read it as well. So all students are recommended to have a conversation with their form tutor, the parents, carers, because and their head of year, along with their tutor, because they know them very well, and subject teachers if they're trying to decide between subjects, geography, history, French, and Spanish, for example. So we strongly recommend that you have those conversations. But like I said, please refer back to the handbook. It's really key. It's on the website. It has a detailed information about the subject. And then if you still have further questions, you can talk to Mr. Phillips in the CCPCHE lessons. There's also, again, like I said, the form tutors, the head of year, and subject teachers if it's in relation to the specific subject. And you can spend any students thinking about supported studies can speak to Miss Recon and Miss Peterson. So if there are any further questions or any further information required, please could you email Miss Maniar at the school and Miss Peterson, and we will then have any further conversations or provide any further information that you require about the options. But again, please could you refer to the actual handbook that has lots of the information in there about the subjects. and then we will take it from there. So this is just to give you an idea of timeline. Summer term is when allocation happens. The school will work from the Friday the 22nd of March onwards on preparing and allocating the options for the students and doing the timetable, and this takes a huge amount of time, and then we will have some formal information to you in writing from the summer term in 2024. There's no first come first serve basis. We try to make sure we allocate all of the students and their options. And because that's what they've selected, and most of the time that is what happens. But we do need reserves because sometimes some subjects they are on at the same time. There's some combinations that can be difficult with the timetable. So that's why even the reserve, you really need to think about that it's suitable for what you'd like to do at GCSE. Again, if you would like to email me, I will put my email in the letter attached to this video that's gone out, and you can get in touch with Miss Peterson and myself if you have any further questions about Year 9 options. Many thanks for your time and listening to this information.